Well, TikTok, I am more than likely going to stop making videos. Um, I'm not sure how soon, but I think pretty soon. Or I guess I should say I don't know exactly when, but I will pretty soon. But I wanted to come on here. I had an interesting experience yesterday. I had to renew my driver's license, and so I went to the DMV to do that. And I actually had done some more research about the whole Real ID Act and all of that. And so I wanted some questions answered, and I wanted to know what my options were, so that I didn't take if I did not take the Real ID, what my options were. And I was pretty much told, and this was me talking to a manager, because the first person I spoke with was like, I don't even know about how to go about that. That's not something that we do, so on. And so the manager, I'm speaking to her, and all I can say is that the conversation was alarming. I don't even, it's not that it was shocking what I was hearing. It was like, it was more so like already sort of, I don't know. Anyway, so let me just tell you what happened. So what happened was I went to get my driver's license renewed. I told her I wanted a non-real ID driver's license, just a regular ID, and she's like, nope, we don't have any ability to do that. I was like, well, why? She was like, well, in 2012, so and so, the whole story is started, and everybody had to be compliant by May of this year, 2025. And that they were giving out non-compliant, is what they call them, and then the compliant ones. But now they're no longer allowed to do that in certain states. Some states still do it, and others do not. Well, where I'm at, they do not do it. And she went on to tell me that, well, if you don't do it, then you basically are surrendering your license, and you will not be able to travel. I mean, obviously, if you have a passport or something like that, you can travel. But if you don't have that, then you can no longer travel throughout the United States with just your driver's license. And she said, you know how you have to go to the doctor or go into the hospital and they scan the back of your card for insurance, your driver's license for insurance purposes and all that stuff. She said you won't be able to do that anymore, so you won't be able to be seen at hospitals. She said we're getting ready to change the back of those barcodes. We're getting ready to change the back of those barcodes that everyone has on their licenses now. They're getting ready to be changed. And if you don't have the proper ID, even if I were to give you something that was non-compliant, like some of the other states do, they can reject whether they will accept that. And she was like, for your bank as well, they don't have to accept it. And I was like, really? So you're telling me that if I don't get this, I can't drive, I can't fly within the United States, I can't go into a bank and do banking, I can't go into a doctor's office or hospital or any other activity that would require me to present identification to prove who I am? And she was like, yeah. And actually, eventually it's going to be, you don't even really need the card itself, the physical card. Eventually it's going to be just digital. And I was like, this sounds an awful lot like the beginning, or not the beginning. Like, this is the mark of the beast. This is the framework. This is, I don't know what you want to call it, but she was like, oh, she also said, we have everything in one system now. Your Social Security. See, because what I was told was that when you have the Real ID, you no longer have to go in person to renew your ID or your driver's license. You no longer have to present any more documentation, updated address, none of that. You don't even have to change your picture. You don't have to even update your picture. None of those things apply any longer if you have the Real ID. She's like, they now have everything in one system: Social Security card, your birth certificate, like vital records, um, anything that is government is all one now, she said, and that eventually the cards are going to go away. And I was like, well, I'm not shocked by that. It because obviously the Bible has told us that it's going to go to a one world system and all this kind of stuff. What was alarming was the fact that it's already very much here. And she also said it's just been little by little by little, so that then you're not aware of how, like, when it all happens and when it all finally comes down, that you got here but little by little and you didn't realize that it was happening. So I called the governor's office because I wanted to find out, number one, is our state a state that is actually forcing you to have this? We don't even have any information on this thing, really, not really. And I know that this has been going on for a while and all of that. However, I was not where I am now in my walk with the Lord. And so therefore, my understanding has increased and knowledge has increased. And so now I know more. And to question before I just give in to whatever they're saying. So I called them and she basically confirmed what I was told by the DMV, by that manager. But what I didn't get answered from the DMV, from that manager, was why and what is the difference. I said, because technically if I were someone who was a new driver or moving to the state for the first time, I would have to present the same information that I presented in 2011 or prior to 2012 in order to get an identification. So I said, what is the difference now? I said, what changed between 2011 and 2012? And she said, she can't say for sure, that it does not say specifically the reason of those changes other than for security purposes. And I'm like, for whose security? And I said, so is this eventually going to go to a digital, where we don't actually need the physical ID? And she says, well, I don't have any of that information at this time. And I was like, well, who authorized this? I said, because this wasn't something that we, the people, voted on. It just kind of happened and it passed in Congress. And I said, and whose authority? And she said, well, the President of the United States. I said, okay, but this has been going on since 2011, 2012, and was not forced on us at that time. I said, so why now? And she said, well, and that was when it was implemented in 2025 in May of this year, that it is absolutely mandatory. This is the beast system. To hear someone say, you will not be able to do X, Y, or Z if you don't do X. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is the framework. And so it's going to go from this driver's license identification to on your phone identification with an app to whatever form where it is in your biometrics. And so then you're walking around it, which let me recall a dream that I had in August 5th, 2020, that the Lord had showed me, where they looked the same on appearance from the outside. However, they were different. They communicated telepathically. They spoke without words. And when they lifted a hand, well, the two people I observed, they lifted their hand and in front of them pops up like all their information as if it was in the air. And you can read all like their facts, their history, or whatever. This is where we are. And now I understand. See, sometimes the Lord gives me visions and I don't understand it. And it'll take time. And then eventually I'm seeing the very thing happening of what that vision was. Y'all, take this thing seriously. Prepare. You better do your research and prepare. This thing is here. The mark is here. I personally believe it. I'm convinced. Anyway, be prepared.